All right, so we are going to move on to something we like to call the top 10 2D Switch games, or the top 10 2D games for the Nintendo Switch. And I picked these because I've been reviewing so many of these things. And I tweeted out a little while ago, man, if I had to choose what were the top 10 2D games for the Nintendo, it would be a very tough thing. And tell you what, it is.
It is very
There
hard.
are lots of great 2D games. I have not played everything, so there's little asterisks, okay? There's probably about 7 or 8 asterisks attached to this list, but I'm going to list mine out.
Yep.
And the other thing that happened is I ran into a friend and I've forgotten his name. I'm sorry if you're watching, but he works at the movie theater, and we were talking about the Nintendo Switch, and he said, "I haven't really bought any new games for a while, because, since Zelda and Super Mario Brothers. He only buys the AAA." And I said, "Do you ever download any of the games? Because there's all these awesome, indie titles that are smaller, they're less expensive, but they're incredible." And he hadn't really. And so this is me and Behr imploring you to expand your horizons. I don't think the people that are in the chat right now, and hello to Tyler Fisher and Farimer and Sam I Am and Paul Adamson and Fat Chimp and Rocket Spaceman, best names ever, right?
Love the names.
I think Adrian Leon might be in there. I love all the. We need to make more emojis because that's you can't even tell that's me. But thanks for all being here. But I don't think if you're in the live chat right now that you would be someone that would ignore a lot of these titles.
Yeah.
Or even probably if you're watching this as an archive right now. Thank you for doing that.
And let's face it, the Switch is probably the best platform to experience a lot of these games. At least I feel like. Anytime any of these indie games come out, or some of these 2D titles are out on any store, whether it's PSN store or the Xbox store, I always prefer to get them on my Switch.
I think for playing, yes. But what there's a couple things, and I think one of the reasons is the Steam curation is so clumsy and difficult. It's just so massive, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to find some of that stuff. But what I love about Steam for the indie stuff is that that's where people can experiment and get these things out, and they can go into early access and they can get support for some of these titles. And if they're successful there's a good chance that they will be ported to the Switch. And that means that the Switch has become a little bit of an arbiter of the best indie titles.
That's true.
And the best 2D stuff.
So that's actually a very good way to put it,
right?
Actually, because a lot of these games on this list were either successful on the Vita or obviously other platforms. And yeah, like they're all just coming into this one eShop here. They're all to one. So
okay, well, let's get into our list. We're going to start with number 10 first, but first, a nice little shout out to Tyler Fisher. Thank you for the super chat, brother. You are the best. Okay, number 10, I put Street Fighter Anniversary Edition, and this is not the penultimate or the Blake will correct me if I use the wrong word, but not all of it's not the ultimate version of what could be collected on a Street Fighter Anniversary collection, because on the other consoles you could, if you pre-ordered, you got Street Fighter 4 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The ultimate would include all the 3D stuff, but it doesn't. This is all the 2D games, starting with the original Street Fighter, and there's some pretty cool museum pieces in here. You played this game,
of course.
Right? Yeah.
It's terrific. I mean, you've got Street Fighter 1, all the versions of Street Fighter 2.
Which is terrible, Street Fighter 1.
It is,
it's
but
an impossible game to play, but
fact
great that it's there.
It's great that it's there. I mean, when we tried this out on the Switch too, it was one of the first games we went to because we just thought it'd be hilarious because a Hadouken takes like half your health. It's stupid. But it's an amazing little package. It has Street Fighter Hyper Fighting, Super Turbo. So anyone who grew up with whatever version you played in the arcade, you can go back and re-experience that with arcade perfect ports.
And carry it with you on the Switch.
Amazing.
And the stuff that impressed me the most is the alpha stuff, and then we'll get into Street Fighter 3, where the programmers and the artists were just killing it.
Oh, that was the prime of Capcom.
Yeah, nobody was paying attention, though. Like, those weren't as big. I mean, they were big for the diehards, but people were moving on to 3D. They were moving on to the flashiness out there.
True, yeah.
But they were killing it with 2D pixel art and animations and stuff. Beautiful games and awesome to behold. Now, I'm cheating a little bit, I think, with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze at number 9 because there are a lot of 3D scenes and elements. Most of it is just sort of cutscenes and sequences.
I would still consider it a 2D platformer, though, right?
The experience is very 2D, and it's very fun. And I did take some swipes at Nintendo because we expect more of them. When they launch a Legend of Zelda or a Super Mario Odyssey that innovates like crazy, and then we take a step back to a port, which even on the Wii U felt like not a huge swing from retro. Like it's not Metroid.
Of course,
it's kind of easy wheelhouse stuff for Nintendo. That doesn't mean it's not ridiculously fun. It's a gorgeous game that is really well crafted and very fun. Have you played any of them?
I have. I played this actually on the Wii U.
Yes.
Way back, and it's it's still a great game, but it's not. It doesn't have that wow factor, and that's kind of the story with a lot of Nintendo franchises when we really think about it. Like in terms of Star Fox kind of went through the same thing, and there's a lot of stuff that gets buried, like F-Zero.
Yes.
You really can go back, and they've got a library
they
of
had
things that they don't really maximize the potential.
Exactly. They have that initial like the original Star Fox on Super Nintendo. It's just like
amazing,
awe-inspiring. You're like, how is this even here?
Yeah,
it's talking to me.
And obviously, 64 was great.
And 64 was pretty good, but as someone that was just blown away by the Super Nintendo game when it came out, the 64 game was good, but it wasn't so much. Yeah. And I found that over and over again. It's like they find those moments where they just blow expectations out of the water. Ocarina of Time, absolutely Breath of the Wild and Odyssey.
Mario 64.
Yeah, and then you start to think, well, they could go a little bit further. But still, Donkey Kong Country is great. My number 8 is Owlboy. Did you play this game?
This is a great game.
Yeah.
Very, very beautiful. Actually, I got to meet the developers at PAX, I want to say a year or two ago.
Great.
When it was first coming. Just such a beautiful game.
Australian guys, or where are they from?
I'm not sure, actually.
Okay.
I think they are.
Yep.
Yeah, and they've been working on this game for about 10 years. I think it was first shown in, I want to say E3 2005 or 6, if you go back.
Wow. There's a lot of small teams and with big ideas that go back that far, which is great. Like, they take a long-ass time to come out because they want to fulfill all of their dreams.
So much love put into it, for sure. And you can totally feel that while playing Owlboy. I thought this was a great choice.
I love this game. I love the music. I love the aesthetics. I love the humor and the mechanics. Absolutely gorgeous. And it flips the whole platformer thing on its ear by having this wingsuit that you can fly around, and then it gets taken. It's an excellent game, and I encourage everybody to pick that up. Ooh. Hollow Knight is my number 7. And I kind of hate this game because it's very hard.
Yeah.
But it, again, is so moody and atmospheric. It's like the Dark Souls of, cutesy platformer games that make me want to punch the screen when I play it, because you lose everything, and then you got to go back and find stuff, and it just takes forever to kind of grind sometimes. And then you get far, and then you don't get far. Have you played this thing?
I have not tried Hollow Knight, but I've seen so much gameplay of it. I know it totally gets the hooks in you.
Oh, it's great.
Because you fail so much, you start to learn more. Kind of has a bit of a Dark Souls element to it.
Yes.
But it's super cool. Very cool. Very beautiful.
You have to earn everything, and it takes a while to earn everything. But when you do, you really start to feel like a little god in this game.
You feel like a rock star. I love games like that that almost, make yourself train you, like where you learn from your own errors so you become better at the game.
Yep.
It's a great little dynamic.
Well, we have a game that definitely celebrates that coming up very soon. But Shovelknight Treasure Trove is my number 6. And I think when that first was released, the first Shovelknight, it was like my favorite game of the year for half of the year until some of the big games came out. I kept going back to Shovel Knight. Treasure Trove collects all of the DLC that Yacht Club put into the game. And it's an incredible game. Like, it's Mega Man. It's like classic 8-bit.
A bit of DuckTales elements to it, too, from the 8-bit. I mean, this is a franchise that I think exceeded everyone's expectations. Like, look how far it's got. It's to a point where they had their own amiibo for this freaking game. That's insane.
That is an incredible accomplishment. I have one of those, but I actually spent money, and you guys know I get a lot of swag. That's part of the thing of having a job in this business, and like they send you T-shirts and things like that. But I actually spent my money on a Shovel Knight hoodie because I love the game so much, and I wear it all the time. It's not as cool as the EPN.
I gotta get one of those. And I also want to say, I think Shovel Knight's coming to a fighting game. I forgot the name of it.
Yes.
There's a fighting game that he's coming
from Nicholas.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
They have a bunch of these indie characters in it, but Shovel Knight it's just so crazy of how this franchise has spread around so much. And it's on everything.
It's because the core game is so excellent, and then when you play as the other knights that you can get to, you'll sort of expand your horizons and have a ton of fun with that too.
It's called Blade Strangers.
Blade Strangers from Nicholas, and I love that Shovel Knight is appearing in more things. I'm sure we'll see an animated series at some point. Steamworld Dig 2 is my number 5, but you don't want to get that without getting Steam Dig 1.
I'm really surprised this is this high on your list. It's a great game.
I can't believe how good this game is.
Wow,
it's just so hypnotic and addictive and mysterious, and The controls are great, and the dole out of power. It's you know, Metroidvania for sure, fused with Dig Dug. You know, like excellent, proven design ideas where you have to kind of, you know, shift your thinking and, you know, recognize how many resources you're going to take to get to where you got to go. And then everything keeps opening up. It's so big and massive, and you're just like floored by the fidelity and the quality and the craftsmanship of the experience.
That's super cool. I've only played Heist before, but I did not know, especially you being such a big Shovel Knight fan, looking at this list, I was shocked that this is above Shovel Knight.
It's incredible. Yeah, no, great. I love this game. And a game that's above Steamworld Dig 2 is Celeste, which was locally created. This is a game that absolutely celebrates failure.
So good.
And it says, look, it's okay that you're losing. It's part of the journey. It's okay that you keep dying in this sequence. It's part of the journey. And you think that it's kind of a traditional, you know, retro sprite-based platformer, and then it gets whacked out on you. Like, you get into these weird sort of mirror world and dreamlike sequences, and you don't know what the hell is going on. And, you know, there's like this, I don't know, this restraint in the storytelling and this foreboding kind of quality, this kind of melancholy element to it. And it's wonderful, you know? It's about trying to survive and get as far as you can, and love Celeste. Beautiful
It's terrific, like these small developers show us of just how such simple gameplay mechanics can really get the hooks in us. And you'd think that all of these game dynamics have been done before in the past, but really, it's incredible what Celeste has done. Definitely a very, very cool game, and definitely going to be a big standout for, I think, your guys' best indie
it's incredible.
This year.
Yeah, so. Matt Thorson, Vancouver boy, made that, or he's one of the guys behind that. Towerfall guy.
Okay.
Yeah, so cheers to you, Matt Thorson. Rayman Legends Definitive Edition comes in for me at number 3. This is the Ubisoft seminal 2D experience that
fantastic franchise.
Ported to everything. Rayman Origins is also great. They're both phenomenal.
Is Origins on Switch? I don't think it's not.
No, and I wish that was the definitive edition. And frankly, I know that you can get a better version of Legends on other machines, so definitive is a little bit of a misnomer here. But it's still an incredible game, and when you see it pop off your portable screen, you're like, in that large, because you could get Rayman Legends for the Vita. But this is another level,
This is another level, for
it's
sure.
so fluid, so funny.
And out of all these games here, this is one of the few that you can really play with multiplayer. I think you can play it up to 4 players, right? It's such a fun franchise. It's some of the biggest laughs I've had was playing Origins and Legends. So
incredible games.
Both just terrific
and
games.
I think underappreciated, you know? Like,
I think they are too.
They're not Assassin's Creed, you know?
And they're not obviously the Mario games as well. A lot of people usually played the Mario for Wii, the side-scrolling 4-player ones. But I always tell people to give Rayman a chance because you'll have so much fun in a 4-player environment with this game. Even solo, it's good. But
that sounds like you're going for some kind of political chant. Give Rayman a chance!
It's true, though. I don't feel like it's talked about enough, for sure.
Love that game, and it's great on the Switch. Number 2 is a bit of a cheat as well because it collects 6 games into one, but if there's been 4 Mega Man Legacy collections. There's 1 and 2 for the original Mega Man games on the NES, and now there's the Mega Man X Legacy collections. They're all great. The 4th one with the more modern Mega Man X stuff is probably the weakest of all those collections. But I think the one that you have to get if you're only going to get one of these games, eventually you need to get them all because Mega Man is so important to our business. But Mega Man Collection 1, Legacy Collection 1, where you get Mega Man 1 and 2. 2 is still my favorite game in the series.
Yeah, 2 I think is most people's favorite. That is a really terrific, it's one that was a real standout.
And I was playing it back in the day going, God, this is great. What an incredible game. I want to kill you. I hate you. It was a lot of that kind of love-hate thing, but it was so well crafted, all of them. And it's amazing to go back to the first Mega Man game and see that it wasn't refined, it wasn't perfect, but so many of those ideas, those journals, those germs, those concepts that have not just permeated throughout that game, but throughout the entire business. It was creating vernacular, you know?
It's true. I mean, this is kind of the story of a lot of games. I feel like there definitely always needs to be a chance for a sequel for a franchise that maybe had a few bumps in it. And with how expensive games are today to produce, because there's multi-million dollars putting into a game and 200 people teams.
Yes.
It's very hard to justify a sequel for a game that didn't do so hot.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of franchises. You guys look back in the last 5-10 years of games that maybe didn't do so hot, but if they had a chance for a sequel,
PsyOps 2, man.
I mean, a game that was not great, but would have really led to something like The Order, you know.
Yeah.
For the PS4,
Yeah.
like
All
that game was not great, but
well, it was a quarter of a game. But
it was a quarter of a game.
All that work and then
yeah,
right.
But if they had a
drives me
sequel,
crazy,
right?
Yeah, if they could keep going, yes, developers always do better.
Yeah.
You point at Grand Theft Auto 1, 2, and then look what they did with 3. That's all you got to say. Okay, so my number 1 pick, and you can agree or disagree here, is Sonic Mania Plus, because I don't know if there is a game that you can point to that more, properly underlines the importance of 2D gameplay in 2017 and now 2018, because they've re-released with new additions and features. But this is a game that Sega didn't need to make. They probably know what their 3D titles are going to sell. They've got this long line of games. They know what their racing games are going to sell. This was almost like our hearts made it so. You know, every longtime Sonic fan that remembers with great love and adoration the original experiences and feeling, and finding them on the Genesis and wanting Sega to go back to that. And they've tried in sort of some veiled attempts and some sort of
the 2D, 3D attempts,
But this was like coming right off of the Genesis with modern tech and modern trappings. But God, it's an incredible game.
Yeah, I cannot believe it's your number 1. That's so that's how much you truly loved it, and it is really, really cool. It's crazy to think of how the Sonic franchise really struggled so much, where really they just had to take it back to the roots, keep it simple. And I feel like that's what Sonic Mania did. It just brought us back to the Genesis era with more modern game elements, with some of the new level designs.
Yeah.
But they didn't really add anything too new, too crazy. They just kept it fun. And that's really where Sonic needed to go. And I feel like this team needs to create like another 2D, 3D Sonic game.
Right.
With better graphics, better visuals.
I don't know, man.
They don't need to maybe go to the 16, but I'm feeling like they need to take care of this franchise because they don't really produce too many great games.
Well, they need to take care. I mean, this is what happened, right? Like I was right in the middle of one of those first console battles with the Genesis and the well, I was there.
The blast processing,
Television versus Atari.
Oh god.
But I was there for Sega Genesis versus the Super Nintendo, and Sega sold enough that they took market share away from the best 2D platforming experience you could buy, which is Mario. You can't argue that, okay? That's the best. Sure. They set the bar, but Sonic was so damn good, they got to almost a 50-50 horse race, And a lot of people said, no, I'm a Sonic person, I'm not a Mario person. That is phenomenal.
That's crazy.
And then what they tried to do was keep up with Nintendo and do 3D and do all of these, derivations and different kinds of ideas that sort of fit alongside what Nintendo was doing with Mario. But Mario was not coming out in their sort of core experiences as often as the Sonic games were. So they kept shooting and trying and missing, and they couldn't do it. But the thing that drove us all to Sonic in the first place was its core speed and 2D game design and 2D level designs and all of that stuff. And with Sonic Mania, they really just honed in on that. And with this pixel art, suggests to the world that, like there's still beauty here. There's still love to be found in this. And half of these games mirror or take influence from this kind of art style and these kinds of design choices by modern developers, and that says something too. But I think why Sonic is at the top, Sonic Mania is at the top for me, is that this is a major publisher with a major IP. They're making a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, saying that this is still super important to us. 2D is incredibly valuable,
and it's an important franchise to all of gaming. I feel like,
absolutely.
It's really up there with the Marios and
what was the other one called last year?
Oh, I don't know. I can't even tell you. That was my issue, is the fact that I know that this game is so terrific, but Sega's still gonna go out there and release a game every year, every other year of just some garbage we're not gonna remember. And that's why I want this team to really be the forefront of this franchise.
Yes.
And maybe have a higher budget than this, because let's face it, this game probably did not have a
I don't think they need a higher budget. I think they need this same kind of love and marketing muscle that they did.
But can Sonic survive for another 10, 15 years just using the same graphics.
Not if they bring one out every year. That was the other problem with the Sonic games on the Genesis, is like they got a hit, let's keep churning them out. Mario wasn't doing that, you know? There was one game and you played it and played it and
like
replayed
years,
it, and, right? And then they did like a collection of the NES game. I mean, on the NES they had 1, 2, and 3, but they didn't make tons of them. Nintendo learned a valuable lesson,
they did,
right? And they still abide by those lessons. They still have one title. Like, we're going to be talking about Super Mario Odyssey and Legend of Zelda for the next 4 years as incredible pickups for your Nintendo Switch. And hopefully we take another year, because we're already re-releasing Sonic Mania, before we hear anything about a sequel to this. But I definitely want more. Hats off to you, Sega and Sonic. You're back, and Sonic Mania rocks. Number 1,